today and in 2017 is AirTran's currently serving from E21 and E31. They have to leave and go join Southwest as part of that acquisition. So those gates we're anticipating will be available in 2017. But if I were a betting person, I would say that some other airline will likely serve those gates between now and the end of trip. So we're showing them as common, but my guess is they'll probably be used. So as you see, United, Delta, U.S. Airways are the primary carriers in the terminal. Terminal E passengers, again, they're at about 7.7 million in FY11. They're projected to grow up to about 8.2 million by 2017. So very similar projected growth of about 2% per year. Again, the 2012 drop is simply AirTran leaving the market here later this year. Again, similar to what I showed you in Terminal B, this is a departures per day per gate chart by gate. The difference, of course, with Terminal E, these are larger aircraft. These are all mainline aircraft of 130 to 170 seat as opposed to the 50 to 70 seat aircraft in Terminal B. So again, relatively well utilized facility. Not as much as A and C, obviously, but pretty well utilized. And this just shows by carrier how many daily departures that each carrier has and what their average utilization is. So similar to what we talked about before. So that wraps up my my presentation. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to address them. Thanks.
Oh, they're gonna be trying to ring off my phone. That's a weak clap. Yeah. That's some great information. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about, well, what does that passenger look like, and who's actually flying through DFW, and what do they prefer during their journey. A little bit in regards to our passenger demographics. We do a lot of surveys thanks to marketing. We're out constantly talking to our passengers to find out who they are and what they like. On average, across the airport, we're looking at a mean age of 44. And our passengers, in regards to income, we have 38% of our passengers that actually have income over 100,000. So from a retail perspective, it's definitely a great sweet spot. And this is one that I like because the first time I came to the airport, you know, of course, trying to impress. I had on my suit, and nobody told me that when you walk into terminals that you needed some really good walking shoes. I had on heels. I messed up my hose, and I'm trying to impress, and I'm like trying to find a place for hose. Nowhere. And in the terminal that I was in, though I know that there is a location now that has that, but you know, and it just comes to show that there are more women traveling today, and what we've seen over the past few years is that it's almost split. So that's a great thing. So as you're looking at ways in which that you can provide goods and services, think of that female passenger as well. And the other thing that's happened is that our passenger mix is starting to become a lot more ethnically diverse. 24% of our passengers are ethnically diverse. And in regards to travel, our average passenger is traveling about 7 times a year. So they're frequent, and they're traveling for business or leisure. And a little bit more in regards to what Jeff had talked about as relates to the passenger. He had talked about it being a heavy connecting traveler. 58% of that is mostly for leisure. 52% is females, so it's a little bit heavier than what the overall average is. The largest age group, a little bit older, 55 to 64. And of course, with it being Eagle, you don't have any first class, so it's really just point to point. The other unique thing about this particular terminal is the fact that the dwell time, you don't have the tremendous dwell time as you do in the other terminals because they are connecting, and the fact that the majority of their flights, they're going less than 500 miles. So they're jumping on something, going to Arkansas, Oklahoma, different parts of Texas, and thereabouts. Conversely, in looking at Terminal E, as Jeff had pointed out, this terminal is our O&D, originating and destinating passengers. Very few of those passengers are connecting anywhere. I think it's less than 5%. And it's pretty much evenly split in regards to male-female, a little bit heavier on the leisure side, and the age group is a little bit more in line in terms of what we see on a national average. And you do have some first class because you got United, you got Delta out there, Continental, etc. But the majority of it is economy, and because we do have a lot of low-cost carriers out there as well, folks are looking for the best deal. And this just kind of goes to show in regards to the whole connectability. If you look at Terminal B, which is the bars in the center, you know, 76% of those passengers. And of course, that number will fluctuate, as Jeff had talked about, anywhere from the low 70s to the high 80s, depending upon the time of the year. They're connecting to any other point, you know, the majority of them within 500 miles throughout Texas, Oklahoma, and thereabouts. And Terminal E, conversely, only 3% of those are connecting anywhere. So the majority of that traffic, they go to their particular gate, and they're like my sister, you're going to have a great deal in order to get them to get up. And Terminal B, in regards to, as I mentioned, you know, 51% of those are going to short-haul markets. The other thing, too, in regards to dwell time, the lighter bar is Terminal B, and you can see the majority of that dwell time is about 31 to 60 minutes versus Terminal E, where they're there for a little while. You tell them to be there 2 hours ahead of time, they're there 3 hours ahead of time. So you do have folks that are coming to the terminal, and they are there for a little bit longer. I think their dwell time is very similar to what you might see in Terminal D. So we asked them questions, thanks to marketing, in regards to, okay, so what do you want? You know, what are you looking for? And this is a little bit different than what we saw in Terminal A. They are looking for a split of national, regional, national, local brands. As you're thinking about your different concepts, we are looking for best-in-class national brands. We're looking for best-in-class local as well as best-in-class regional brands. 55%, and no surprise, because they have a quick turn. They're looking for more of that quick, casual type of experience. However, you know, don't shortchange them. They do want to be able to sit down. They want to have that whole experience as they are traveling through the airport. Just like everybody else, healthy. Not that they eat a lot. They want to have the option that on your menu, and what you'll see when we get into the restaurants, we do require that our restaurateurs think about having healthy options on their menu, and Kevin will get into that a little bit later during the breakout. The other thing, 64%, convenient retail. What did I forget? What do I need to help me on my little short journey? So you need to think of that as you are thinking through what's going to appeal to this particular passenger. And then in Terminal E, a little bit more on the local. So in regards to looking for best-in-class local brands, as well as they still want that national brand experience. So don't shortchange them, but look for those opportunities. And again, they're looking for kind of quick casual, quick serve, full service sit-down restaurants. So the same similar experience, and it's interesting, they bring up some of the things that are very unique to the region. They want barbecue, they want big burgers, they want sandwiches, delis, and they want some healthy options. So there again, this came from our passengers. They told us in a videotape, we stuck it in their mouth, what do you want? And I want healthy options. So, and you consider the fact that everybody is flying these days, and they want to have the same kind of experience as they have on the land side inside the airport in regards to having choice. And there again, specialty retail, convenient retail, and necessities pop up in regards to, on the retail side, what they're looking for. And I love this chart because and let me see if I can explain this. The lighter bar is early in the morning. The darker bar is around lunchtime to mid-afternoon, and the red bar is like late afternoon to the evening. And with American, which is the first set of bars, you can see that we've got a lot of folks that are coming, traveling in the late afternoon and evening. And in Eagle, which is the middle set of bars, they've got a good span across the entire day, but again, a little bit more skewed also in the late afternoon and evening. And it is completely opposite in E. In E, though they've got a nice mix that's going on in the afternoon and the evening, they are there lining up at the security checkpoint at 4 a.m. So what's going to be very important for those that are looking into the restaurant side is that you have good breakfast options. And I'm not talking about just the ones that you just, happen to put together to say, I have breakfast. These folks want some food. You should see them lining up. Any of my Dunkin' people here or my Starbucks people here, they're out there. They're looking for coffee. They're looking for those morning options. And we've got some goals that we're trying to meet. So we said we've got this 1.9 billion or 1.87, whatever number you want to add to it, but it's in the billions. It's more than what I can count. So as a result, from a cost center standpoint, we do have to carry our weight. So we're looking for a sales per enplaned passenger at $10, and we're looking for a good mix. And when we say a good mix, what we've seen in regards to being kind of our success model is Terminal D. We have a pretty good split of food and beverage to retail, so we're looking to maintain that same kind of experience in our legacy terminals. 60% of the locations are going to be targeted towards food, 40% towards retail. And the other thing that we're doing is right-sizing the terminals. Today, if you were in E, we have about 14 square feet per enplaned passenger. Our goal is 8 to 10, so we've got way too much square feet in Terminal E, Edward, to service our passengers. So we're looking to kind of shrink that platform to make sure that everybody has an opportunity for revenue, as well as that we have an opportunity to make sure that you're not coming to me or to my staff saying, gee, I need rent relief, I don't have enough people. For those in E today, E has been kicking it, so be mindful of that. And as I had mentioned before, we are looking for the uniqueness. How do you create that sense of place? Dallas-Fort Worth and this whole North Texas region really depends upon this airport for the economic viability that it provides to its constituents. And as such, we're looking for ways to kind of showcase that. We don't want them to walk off the terminal and not experience something that's unique to this region. So think of that as you're putting together your plans. I don't want to steal any of Kevin's thunder. He'll talk about it a little bit later for those that are interested on the concession and terminal opportunities. But we're looking for local branded concepts. It meets the needs of the best-in-class local brands and what our passengers are looking for. We're looking for regional branded concepts, realizing that our passengers, particularly in Terminal B Bravo, that they're making those short hauls to other parts of the region, so they're looking for familiar things that address their taste or their lifestyle. And they're also looking for national brands. And so we're looking for best-in-class national brands as well to meet the needs of our passengers. And let me talk a little bit about the cost. And I'm going to go into it a little bit more detail than I did before, because that was some of the feedback that we received during some of the debriefs in regards to the cost of doing business at the airport. It's not cheap. It's not for the faint of heart. We're not going to pretend that it is. So as you're going through and you're making bids and you're coming up with your platform, do know that from a traditional standpoint, yep, you got the build-out costs, you got your rent, you got employee costs, you have insurance. But you also have a lot of stuff that only airports have. Your build-out costs will be a little bit higher, though we pride ourselves at DFW. Our build-out costs are nowhere near what you might experience in other airports. You do have TSA security requirements. That will impact sometimes your delivery. They may change their mind and say, you know what, you can't deliver through here anymore. And the only time you can deliver is at 4 a.m. You used to be able to deliver all